Before we start, I want listeners to know that the information provided during the program is for educational purposes only. You should always consult with your healthcare provider if you have any questions regarding a medical condition or treatment. As a mom with firsthand experience, the opinions expressed in this episode are those of my own and do not reflect the views of Providence. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Let's get back to the show. Welcome, everyone, to a brand new episode of Do Tell Mama, the podcast. I'm your host, Julie Alexandria. Pleasure to be here with you again. And my guest is Aimee Cruz. She is the founder and the CEO of Moms on Maternity, as well as a mom of two herself, and someone who has really blazed her own path and found her own success within the mom realm. How are you, Aimee?
I'm great. Thanks, Julie.
So good to have you here. Thank you for joining us and sharing your story in advance. You have such an interesting story, and what I want to talk about is not only your story, but also the topic of today is the importance of community and the whole idea that the term, or rather the quote, "it takes a village." And it's so true, because it does take a village to raise a child, but yet in today's day and age, we don't have villages anymore, because we grow up, we go to college, we move away, we get jobs, we move around for jobs, and we end up settling usually somewhere far away. Sometimes we come home, but we don't always have that community. We don't always have the benefit of having grandparents around to help raise our kids, or aunties and uncles the way we did even just 50 years ago, the way we did, where people pretty much were homogenous and stayed in their own lane, if you will. But now we're so spread out, and even though we are connected through social media, we are more disconnected than ever before. So I want to talk about Moms on Maternity and how that helps with community and building a community, and why it's so important to have your community and find your tribe, as they say, when it comes to other mom friends. Right. And also, I want to hear your story and how you got started and how this all began. So start at the beginning. Tell us your background and who you are.
Okay, so just can't agree more with what you just said. A mom actually just real quick emailed me last night in a panic, because both her and her husband have like big days at work tomorrow, and today. And she's like, I don't have any family, and my son was sent home sick from preschool yesterday, and there's a rule that you can't come back the next day if you're sent home sick. I have nowhere else to go. I don't know who to call. Do you have any ideas how I can find someone to watch my 1-year-old tomorrow? And this is like at 9 p.m. I got this message, and I met her through Moms on Maternity. And so I started reaching out to like my network and everything like that. She ended up finding someone, but now at least she has some like backup phone numbers. And yeah, I felt bad for her. That's a tough situation to be in.
Yeah, it is. And you can't just kind of call anybody out of the blue to like take care of your kid, because you don't know them, and there's some anxiety there. Yeah.
But okay, so I started Moms on Maternity when my second son was 2 months old. So I was one of those lucky people that was blessed to get 6 months pretty much paid time off from a corporate America job. I was at Deloitte with both my kids. And with my first son, who is 2.5 years older than my second son, I learned how to be a mom. I was figuring out all the, Googling everything, like every new mom. And I went back to work and got pregnant again, had a second maternity leave. And this time I didn't want to lose my nanny, because I was planning to go back to work again. And I already knew how to be a mom, if you will. I had learned what to do 2 years prior. And so I had this energy, and I realized the one thing missing for me was mom friends, like people that I could vibe with that actually were in business or entrepreneurial, and that also had young children that I could relate to, both when I wanted to talk about my kids and mom stuff, and when I wanted to talk about dreams, business, aspirations. So, growing up in corporate America, networking events all day, every day. And I would, host events for Deloitte. I would be on the board of events. And, so it just was a natural thing for me. Like, why don't I put on a community event for new moms and kind of brand it as Moms on Maternity, trying to, like, attract that, like, maternity leave audience, that mom with maybe who's pregnant, or maybe with a baby, a young baby.
Yeah.
So I organized an event, told all my friends, most, not that had that many, but, and then, put it in a Facebook group, posted it, just literally started sending like direct messages to moms that like seemed like they were interested, but like hadn't like committed to going, like to introduce myself. And, at the first event, it was a great success. It was a really good turnout. I have a photo from that day that I'll never forget. And from there, it was like, oh, I'm doing this every month. Like, I put on an event every month until I went back to work. Then I went back to work. My baby was now 5.5 months old. So I had put on 3 or 4 events before I went back to work. I decided to keep going. So I went back to work, but then I kept planning the monthly events. I was lucky that I had flexibility, and it was networking. Mm-hmm. And then I decided to leave my job and focus on trying to grow this. And
what was the timing from having that, I guess a first event after you went back to work, because this became sort of a second job for you, and deciding, you know what, I don't need my corporate America job anymore.
That was the hardest decision. And it wasn't something I really necessarily, it's not, made for myself. I think that,
because that is a really hard choice to give up your job, and not everybody could do that, because let's be real, there are a lot of households that depend on 2 incomes. And so to say, I'm gonna step back and I'm gonna, do my passion project, which you hadn't started making money on it just yet.
No. So the thing is, in the back of my head, I've always had that inner voice that my dream and like my DNA and what I was born to do is have my own company. Mm-hmm. I had a dream job by all accounts, and Deloitte is a fantastic place to work. I had an amazing team, amazing leadership group, and but I couldn't get rid of that itch. So I had actually, when I was younger, started a company before. I had went to a venture-backed startup. I was a boomerang at Deloitte, been hired and rehired, and so but like my bosses and everyone, like they see that in you. You can't sometimes like hide it. Like, her passion level is not maybe what it was a year ago. And, you start to kind of like, it's now or never. Like, there comes a point in life where you have to make they say like one decision can change your life.
Sure.
Like, like my favorite quote is by Jeff Bezos. Like, when you're old, or like 85 years old, sitting in like a quiet moment in reflection, and you want to tell the shortest, most impactful story of your life, you notice it's a series of decisions you made. Mm-hmm. And so, it was like, I'm not getting any younger. I have enough saved money-wise. And if I'm going to make my dream come true, I can't really serve clients, do a good job for corporate America, and grow this. And so it was time to try. And
you saw a need. You saw a need in the marketplace, if you want to call it a marketplace, or in the social space. You saw a need for moms to connect. And that is so brilliant, because yes, there are these virtual groups on Facebook, but that doesn't really help. When you think about it, it's great. And I'm sure people have a lot of friends that are virtual friends, and people we follow, and we feel like we know them, but we've never even met them. There's tons of people that I follow on social media that like, I know what they had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So like, I feel like I talked to them today, but I've never even met them. So the importance of actually seeing people in the flesh, of being there, of the exchange of information, of being able to connect with someone, you can't duplicate that.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like, because when you're a new mom too, like, you're going through, like, no one else can understand what you're going through except another new mom, period.
Yeah.
Like, no one, like an experienced mom, like your husband, a younger sibling, like, unless you're literally in it with a 2-month-old, 3-month-old, 4-month-old, you don't get it. Like, even me right now, my kids are 2 and 5. I don't remember, like, what it was like to have a 2-month-old.
That's my favorite, is that people say, oh, yeah, I was looking at your photos. I don't even remember that period of my life. And that quote, because everyone says it, every parent says it, it always strikes me as so strange.
Which one?
I'm like, well, the fact that they forget.
Oh, yeah.
That I'm like, how can you forget? This is like the most momentous.
You don't forget, like, so you forget, like, the, like, oh my gosh, okay, like, what did you, like, do you have a recommendation for this? Like there's like, or like how last night, or like my boob, like there are things you can still consult on, but like let's share our labor stories or baby naming stories. Like it's all you want to talk about when you have a new baby.
Oh, nobody loves their own birth story like a new mom, let me tell you. I mean, but to that point, this happened to me just yesterday. I was shopping for a girlfriend of mine who has a baby shower coming up this weekend. And I said, what do I want to get her? She's having a baby boy, just like I had a baby boy. And I'm like, I want to get her something that she'll really use. I don't want to just get onesies because they go out of them so fast, blah, blah, blah. I want to get her, maybe something a little personal, make it personal so that it's something that helped me. And I'm looking around the store, Aimee, and I swear I couldn't remember what was the most used item.
It's changing in the store, and it changes. There's new stuff all the time,
all the time.
And the other thing I want to say about it is, okay, so if you're single, you go on maybe like Match.com or Tinder. Like, I mean, I've never done any of that, but I mean, I'm trying. How do you make friends as an adult? Like, how do you? And like, especially when you need a friend, when you're like a new mom, and you're going through like your body's changed, you might be going through some like anxiety, like you have sleepless nights, you're becoming a human food source, like it's like
you're still bleeding,
like you just want a friend that like you, and you know what, you realize also like, whoa, my life has just radically changed. Like I am a mom, and like I need other mom friends to get through.
Yeah, well, and not only that, but it's an incredibly vulnerable position, and you feel incredibly alone. It's isolating, it's vulnerability. And it's humbling because you may be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, chairman of the board, director of whatever, and you are now reduced to wearing adult diapers just like the rest of us. And it is so, I want to say gnarly. I mean, I've been in California for 4 years. I'm using the word gnarly. But it's so difficult.
Yet, you still have dreams. You still want to like be, so that's what the thing was, is like, a lot of like, how do you find the moms that are like, I want to be the best mom and it's important to me, it's my number one priority, but like in order to be my best self, I have to be following my dreams.
Yes, and that is such an interesting and just such an interesting notion, and something that I agree with and connect with so well, because a happy mom is a happy baby, and there is a loss of identity that happens for, first of all, the first, I would say, 6 months, or rather the last 6 months of pregnancy, when your body changes. There's a loss of identity because you're not wearing the same things. You're
not yourself.
Right, you're not yourself. You're walking differently.
Your hormone levels are different.
All of that. And then there's a loss of identity, I would say, within the first year, because you can't do the things that you used to be able to do. It's not like in the tabloids when they show Heidi Klum being able to bounce back. It's like, well, that took a few years, or that took a few months.
Oh yeah.
You have to be kind to yourself.
You do.
And there is a bit of a loss of identity that I think so many of us struggle with. I know I did, because I said, wait a second, I'm a different person now.
So the thing is, Moms on Maternity has allowed many, many, many moms in Southern California, where we started, to find friendship and connection, and basically find people that you can go on play dates with, go on stroller walks with, people you can call, like, oh my, I have a question. What formula are you using, because this kind's making my baby spit up too much, and so finding that human that you connect with, that you're physically, like when you're next to them, like you actually like, oh, like we vibe. Like you can't really vibe, to your point, like virtually in a virtual community. It's just awkward.
Yeah,
I guess.
It is. Like, now, tell us, if you could illustrate what exactly goes on at a Moms on Maternity event, and when did you decide to expand it?
So the events, everyone arrives. Usually the events have anywhere from like 20 to 80 people, depending on the venue and how we marketed it. But it's really good. Everyone arrives, they check in, get like some snacks, and really kind of you just see people like start talking and mingling. Everyone has their baby with them, so you're rolling in with either your stroller, your baby carrier, like literally everyone there is pregnant or with a small baby. I mean, we get some babies there that are like maybe one, and some parents might bring their toddler and their baby, but you'll never see a room full of more babies than at a Moms on Maternity event.
Right.
And so then I kick off the program. I just kind of inspire, try to like, wow, just getting out of the house, you guys rock. Like, we're all here for the same reason. Like, we need each other. Like, this, this time of our life is super special, and like, it's great to like be connecting, like, and bonding over our kids. Like, we're supposed to be here at the same time. And then I have them all introduce themselves. So go around, like, your name, your baby's age, like what you do for work. Because, everyone wants to kind of like talk maybe like with people that like might have a similar work background or complementary work background. And so everyone goes around the room, introduces themselves. And then we might do like an icebreaker question, like talk to like a small group. And then I introduce like a guest speaker. And the guest speaker can be anything from, breastfeeding, baby sleep, postpartum fitness, work-life balance, so many different topics, how to start a business as a mom. We've done so many topics, you name it, we've probably done it at an event. And the guest speaker does a small talk, then takes questions from the audience, and then we open up a lunch, and everyone kind of hangs out and eats. And that's the part where there's just so much energy in the room, and like literally people like don't want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's like,
I bet there's a lot of conversations that are born out of this and that just kind of linger on for a few hours.
Yeah. And I know, I've been to almost all the events. Actually, the first event I'm not going to is our San Jose event in next month. My partner Allie is going to lead that event. It's my first event I have not been at. I'm in February. But my entire like group of friends has changed since starting Moms on Maternity. People, and I see other people's groups of friends change from the event. Like, I see people literally find their best friend at a Moms on Maternity event.
That's such an interesting concept as well, and something that we could talk about for hours, I'm sure. But it's so true. Again, something nobody tells you and they don't talk about, but your entire group of friends, if you go from being a single girl, a married girl to your group of friends, and then all of a sudden you're one of the first to have a kid in that group, they're not really going to understand some of the things that you're going through, and also how your schedule has changed, and you can't really do 9 p.m., 9:30, 10 o'clock dinners anymore because you're going to be doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So it is true. You do morph out of your friend group if your friends are not in the same position as you.
And I mean, totally. And like, I hear a lot of stories about like moms that go to a playground, and there's like other moms at the playground, and like maybe they'll make small talk, and like you're like, oh, maybe like should I get her number? It's like kind of like awkward, right? Yeah. And so at these events, it's like designed for that. It's like designed to like, we are all here because we're hoping to find someone whose phone number we can get, like in a way, like. So it's kind of cool just because when you walk in, you're like, okay, like I came to this event. Anyone that comes to this event is thinking along the same lines as I am. When someone goes to a park, you don't really know what they're thinking.
Right.
I mean, so it's just like that word, like-minded.
Yeah.
I
wish people had like those taxi cab lights that could turn on. It's like,
this is my profile.
Yes, and I used to say like, I wish guys would have that if they were single, so we didn't have to go through the whole
oh my God, that would make. Can we invent that?
Right?
Seriously.
Like,
I need that right now.
I mean, it would just make things a whole lot easier. Nobody would be swiping right or left.
There's a business. I wear buttons. There's a business. Like,
right? There's a business.
That's a business. Like you said in this call or in this meeting, like identifying the need in the marketplace. Yeah. Like the need that Moms on Maternity filled was a place for it was supposed, moms on maternity leave, so people theoretically planning on one day going back to work, to basically alleviate guilt that I am going back to work. I mean, was one of the things. Like, it's so scary to go back to work as a new mom. You're like, am I doing the right thing? Should I be staying home? Like, have other people done it? And if you see like other women doing it, you get a lot more confident that you can do it too. So yeah, it's like my button. I have a baby. I'm going to work. I live in San Diego. Those would be like my buttons. And so I just walk around the park. Anyone else here have a baby? Anyone else here going back to work? Do they live?
Anyone else's buttons match mine?
Yeah. So we could start that for the singles. That'd be a funny little book.
That would be hilarious. Like just wearing a button, and then when you're out, right?
I've been thinking about it.
Be embarrassing.
Let's throw a first event and test it. Like literally call it like a button event, like where we invite singles instead of speed dating. Like we have like 20 buttons. You can pick like 5 buttons, put on your shirt, walk around the event, try to find another person of the opposite sex that's the same 5 buttons that you have.
I mean, it could be really easy. That's really interesting. It's funny because not even the dating apps are set up like that.
This in-person connection thing is, I mean, you have to feel it. Physical, like, even, I mean, female to female, male to male relationships are not generally sexual, but like, there's still like a connection, like, and that I don't know that you can feel a connection without physically meeting someone.
It's so funny because we always feel safer with like-minded people, right? And one thing that I found when I used to take my baby to a baby sign language class at the local library.
Yeah.
And it was Mondays at noon, and I would take him, and he would never even sit still I don't think he even learned any of the sign language. But I went mostly because I wanted to meet other moms. And I hate to say this, but I was a little bit judgmental when I would look at the way they were dressed, and I was like, oh, I don't know, can I be friends with, I know this sounds terrible, can I be friends with that person? But then I found one mom, and I'm like, oh my gosh, her outfit is so cute. And I'm not talking about the ones that were put together, because Lord knows I was not put together at like 3 months postpartum. Yeah. I mean, my hair was a mess and barely washed, and I was still wearing leggings with maternity leggings. But you know, it was one of those things where I thought, her diaper bag is so cute. I like her already.
It made you feel like you had something in common. Like, yes. I enjoy getting ready. Like, you're like I find like pleasure in beautifully designed diaper bags.
Yeah.
And like those are things like that's like it like you want, we all get pleasure from different things. And totally. So yeah. So the events are super powerful. Super good energy, super just good for a mom just to get out of the house and to kind of just, again, be around other new moms. The challenge was, how do you scale it? Yeah. And how do you take it?
Right. How do you make money?
Well, and so we would put on like these events in San Diego, Orange County, and Los Angeles. They'd be in women's clubs or country clubs. They were ticketed events, and there'd be sponsors. But then I decided to take a break, figure out how to scale it. So now, and they were just our big kind of luncheon event, So now we're launching by city, San Diego, Orange County, LA, and San Jose. Instead of just we're only going to do the big lunches twice a year, but now we're organizing coffee and conversations with doulas. We're organizing playground events. And so it's like each city has a leader, and there's a whole calendar of moms on maternity events for that city outside of our big luncheons. And we've got prenatal yoga, like mommy and me yoga, mom meditation. So like when you go log in to see all the events in your city, you can also like at home take your yoga or take your mom meditation. And so instead of it being like buy a ticket to an event, we're now doing a $20 a month membership, all free events, all free online courses, all free meditations and things like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
What a great gift for a new mom.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So anyone in any city can volunteer to become a chapter head, basically?
Right now, we want to grow to all, at least 25 cities. That's the vision. It's, entrepreneur, we've proven the luncheon model works. We've proven people will pay for those tickets. Now it's like, can we prove like the membership for all the free events plus the added virtual content is going to work, and that is going to roll out in March. So
how fun. And you also have brands that got involved.
Yeah, working with sponsors is great. It's challenging. I mean, I'm not, I've learned that my passion's to serve moms and not sponsors. But they're great people working for the brands. So like I enjoy work, but it is what I left corporate America. I mean, and that's the challenge is like, I'm trying to build a big business, but I'm not trying to be corporate America. And it's a balance. And I think that, so Moms on Maternity, we have a clothing line launching. We have the whole new websites under design right now. And I guess what's been like most rewarding for me is like I do get moms that like will randomly and periodically reach out to me, like asking like, "Are you hiring? Like, can I help with anything?" And so we haven't actually we took that hiatus. We haven't thrown a big event since July. So we took we have 3 big events coming up in February in LA, San Diego, and San Jose. And then we are launching the full shebang for all those cities. So each city will have basically at least 2 to 3 events a month starting in April.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for support groups, man. I mean, it has worked for so many different sort of, I mean, that's what it is. At the end of the day,
It's a support group and a social group.
Yes.
And I think that they both always, because we bond over a like-minded reason, and we're there for support, but then we become friends.
Yeah.
Potentially. Especially because we want our kids to play.
Right. That's a beautiful thing too, by the way, which I just kind of found out about, which is like if you invite another mom over to your space and have the 2 kids can play together and then you guys can just talk.
Yeah, totally.
Even if it's parallel play, it doesn't matter. Having them in the space.
I know, yeah. I mean, like sometimes I'm like, I just needed to have 2 kids so they could play together.
Right. Play with each other.
Yeah.
Now, what advice would you give to a mom out there who needs to make a paycheck, but who doesn't want to go back to work, or who has gone back to work and is severely unhappy because she feels like she's missing out time with her child, and who wants to become an entrepreneur and take a step back and do something from home, whatever that may be? What advice
So there's
would you give?
two big questions you should ask yourself. Do you really need the paycheck? Or have you convinced yourself that you need it? And it's like a big thing about money. Like we all have these hang-ups about money. And and I don't think, I'm not trying to say be reckless by any means, but all of us should be thinking about saving money because it's freedom. And so if you have dreams to be a business owner or entrepreneur, you need to save money, build yourself the cushion, and then balance, try to keep your day job and your side hustle. But if I probably could have tried to balance it a lot longer, and it would have been probably economically smarter to do that. But a lot of times the research shows that desperation's when the success comes. Like if you're not working that hard if you don't need to sometimes. It's tricky.
Mm-hmm. But what are some of the things as far as staying on track and developing, sort of bringing your idea, your passion, whatever it is, to fruition? Because if it's one thing that new moms have, it's a lot of time, I feel like, to think about things, because it's a lot of time alone. If you really think about it, whether you're home all day with your baby sleeping a lot, or you're breastfeeding, or you're formula feeding, or you're cleaning, or whatever it is, it's a lot of isolated time that you're alone with your thoughts, for better or for worse. And barring having some, unfortunate dealings with postpartum, which I know I did. I mean, that was really difficult for me to get over, and to work through. It's something that I'm still working through. But, that was one thing that struck me, is that I had so much time, and what I found what I was doing with my time was I was on social media. Totally. And that was so damaging.
I'm still on it too much, and I'm running 2 companies, and it's like...
And it's a lot. But by the same token, you have to be, because you're also running your 2 companies, and part of that is doing your own social media. And I'm assuming that you did not hire someone to do your social media. You're doing it, and it becomes a full-time job.
So, but there's a big difference between likes and comments and revenue.
What is that difference?
You can't pay the bills on likes and comments. I mean, so the amount of time, we all spend too much time on. I mean, it's branding. But at the end of the day, it's addictive, I think. I mean, I'm addicted to it. I'm trying to figure. I mean, I think we all are a little bit. And I mean, and we enjoy it because of the whatever.
Of course.
But I have to learn that it's not as important as actually the business. Mm-hmm. Social media is just entertainment, marketing, whatever. But the business is what's actually happening when you're on the phone, on video calls, when you're actually working with your IT team, when you're actually creating the marketing campaigns. The business doesn't happen on social media. Right. And to your point earlier in the call, if you want to try to network on social media, it's nowhere near as effective as physically going to an event. Yeah. Or driving and meeting someone face to face. Yeah. And so, I think that how do you get small wins and success? So everyone says write a business plan. I I kind of did, and I actually really did and didn't. It's probably something that at this point I should probably rewrite right now. But in the beginning, I think it's about setting like mini goals, like I'm going to launch an event or a coupon book or a podcast, or I'm going to create a new clothing product, or I'm going to innovate a sippy cup. And what is that, like, what is the thing that you can't stop thinking about? Because anything you can't stop thinking about is your passion. So if you find yourself thinking about something over and over and over and over, you have to do it. And so how do you get started? Well, probably you already know how, because if it's your passion, you probably are drawn to it and you enjoy learning about it. But it's, quickly create a prototype, create a proof of concept, like test it in the marketplace, figure out a revenue model. And once you have the revenue coming in is when you can actually think about like growing your team. Big tip is using offshore resources, like tools like Elance, Upwork, freelancer, like type of what's the other one? Big one, Fiverr.
Yeah. Is that what you do?
Yeah, definitely.
You outsource a lot of the jobs. Like what?
Video editing is my biggest. Graphic design, research.
How much of the pie, if you want to give a percentage for the listeners, how much of your income do you devote to outsourcing these things?
I don't have those numbers offhand, but
what should you do to be smart about it? Because I'm thinking that this is something that, especially for people who want to build their Instagram business, because that's something that I see a lot of moms out there doing, where they all want to become momfluencers.
I mean, if there was an answer to that, we'd all be rich and all have success. It's literally, I think that this is truly, it's an art.
Yeah.
Like starting a business is a combination.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. It totally is. It is an art. And I think that if you do want to get brands to buy into what you're doing, it does take a lot of your time and your energy. And like you said, outsourcing.
You're the pro of that, girl.
I'm glad it looks that way too. I'm glad. But have you seen like Moms That Loop? Are you familiar with that?
That Loop?
Loop.
L-O-P.
L-O-O-P. Moms That Loop. It's for moms to gain followers, and because a lot of brands make a lot of decisions on who they want to work with based on your follower count and your interaction, engagement, blah blah blah. But what I see is a bunch of moms who are just wanting brands to give them free stuff.
Good for them. You know what? Some people have dreams. I have dreams to be in 25 cities and to have, I
was going to ask you that. What is the goal? What is the goal of Moms on Maternity?
The goal is to, basically any, when you're pregnant or a new mom and you are on maternity leave, that the goal would be that you find friendship and connection and support and ways to feel good about yourself, be inspired, and get your confidence through Moms on Maternity. Like the vision and the goal is that every working or even non-working mom who is in their third trimester all the way till the day they go back to work engages in Moms on Maternity with our content at home or at our events.
And then sort of, do you see this going global?
So my passion, what I want more than anything is to be able to use Moms on Maternity as a voice and a platform to get like the government to fund national paid family leave. Right now, I think the federal government did just pass it, which is amazing. Most big companies offer their employees paid time off because they have to retain them. Yeah. But, we are only one of 5 countries that does not guarantee workers paid time off after having a new baby. And I can't even imagine what would have happened to me if, again, I was in the mentality that I was tied to the paycheck. Which I wasn't either, obviously. And it's like, it took...
Well, but you are also very lucky because that is not the norm.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so, the vision, before I would even consider going global, I will become like the biggest activist to get national paid family leave passed.
For how long?
So, California right now gives... So there's 5... I think I misspoke. There's only 5 states in the U.S. that offer it. There's 5 states that offer it.
That's it?
Yeah, there's 5 states that offer paid family leave from the state level. There's no
egregious.
federal program.
That's egregious.
Yeah, and America doesn't have a federal program, and we're one of the only industrialized countries that doesn't have a program. So the state of California right now offers 6 to 8 weeks. I should know these numbers. Paid time off, and it's at 66% or something of your salary. And so, you know, I would even be, you know, how much is that the right amount? I don't know. California is actually trying to get more time passed. But I don't know what the right policy or the right legislation is. And there are so many different proposals on the table from Democrats and Republicans. I think we all want this in a way. Politics is the challenge of how do we pay for it and what is the right answer?
Right.
Should it take out of your Social Security? Is there a way to make it like a 401k where you pay into some paid family leave bucket of money? Like, what is there, is this something that should truly just be taxpayer funded? Like, how does it work? And, but we can figure it out. I mean, every other country has pretty much.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, would you say that because it's sort of up to the employer, right? There are some employers that offer it. And there are others that don't, especially I know freelancers. I've always been a freelancer, and we don't get anything.
No, yeah.
I mean, whatever. That's neither
You
here
get
nor there.
freedom.
We get freedom, exactly. We get our freedom. We don't have any with our freedom with none of the safety net. But sort of as a blanket, the rest of the country is not afforded this luxury, and it is a luxury, which is sad because it should be a necessity, not
Totally.
a luxury.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And so, that's definitely like, as much as we can just use our voice and our platform and the moms who come to our event to raise this issue that America is one of the only countries that does not guarantee workers paid family leave, that, there are certain states that have passed it, but we should get this done at the federal level, and let's come up like as a group of like moms on like what we think the right answer is. That's something I want to see. That's important. So, in the next year, I see Moms on Maternity becoming. We're working really hard. We've been working on so much content. We've been interviewing experts on all things, like topics that you're thinking about as a new mom. Getting the prenatal and the yoga videos done, the meditations done, getting the event schedules done. We have been working on basically building out like more of a content team. And so, it's kind of, I was in the market for 2 years throwing events, tested the space, realized there's a need. No one's doing this. Reason no one's doing this is you got to figure out how to make it a business. And I'm trying. And it's one of the hardest things I've ever done is trying to like truly figure out how to take this market, this need and make it. But the timing is right. Yeah. Because more and more moms are getting maternity leave because businesses are realizing that they need to retain these employees, and it's just the right thing to do. And as more millennials get into leadership roles and more women get into leadership roles, it's just going to be, the hope is that really Moms on Maternity is a long, long-lasting brand that serves American women in the workplace having babies for decades to come.
And would you say along the lines of now is the time that people are speaking more openly about it, people are speaking more truthfully, people are speaking more real and talking about what that means and what that first year really entails, and sort of the other side of pregnancy and what that means for everybody in the household, whether it's your dog or your husband.
Yeah. And people are starved for human connection.
Yeah.
I mean, we all are working virtually more too. Yeah. And, when it really is like, when did you last make a new friend that wasn't like through your husband or someone you knew from work or school?
That is such a good question. When was the last time you made a new friend?
I mean,
well, you make new friends all the time.
I'm out of my comfort zone. Yeah. Like I've already so like for me now, because I'm so focused on when you connect with other people, doors open up.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I've seen that. And for me now, I just make it like conscious effort to be like, oh my gosh, we have something in common. Like you're pregnant. I run a company for pregnant women. Like you're cool. can I get your number? Like, let's like go to yoga, let's go walking, let's get dinner.
Yeah.
And it's not like I want something for them or they want something for me, but we have similar drives and passions that we help each other.
Now, you are the queen of networking, and this is why you're good at this. But for other people, for some people, networking means just an uprising of social anxiety. What are some networking tips? Because you do this better than anyone I've ever met. And even myself, who I consider to be incredibly effusive and outgoing, I still sometimes get a little bit uncomfortable in social situations. So what are some of the things to keep in mind?
Always smile. And
Okay.
And I would say introduce yourself always to the event host. If it's like a president, someone on the board. Hey, my name's, Aimee. This is my first meeting. Like, thank you for putting it on. Because the person that hosts these events knows everyone. And they are incentivized to make you come back. Yeah. They will introduce you to everyone. They'll be so happy to meet you. They'll be like, thank you for coming up to me. Like, as hosts, like, those people stand out to us. And it's the easiest thing to do.
Interesting. What are some of the mistakes that people make when it comes to networking?
Being on your phone.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. And going to meetings for the wrong purpose, like going to sell something or like going to a meeting you're not interested in because it's really fine making sure like the events you're going to are ones that excite you and think you think you're going to find people to and it's actually kind of fun sometimes to like, it's like, do you bring a friend, you go alone, either way.
I usually like to go alone to those things because it forces me to get outside my comfort zone and to meet someone new.
Yeah.
And I would try to do that when I was living in New York City and I wanted to go out and meet someone. I said, you know what, I'm just going to go by myself and I have a goal of meeting at least 2 people.
That's so cool. I mean, yeah. And I would say like at the Moms on Maternity events, it's so easy. Like because you walk into an event, if it's at a country club or a park, and you're like, oh, how old's your baby? Like,
right.
What part of town do you live in? Like, we're both here because we like our moms with babies.
That's the easiest way to do it, right? Yeah. How old is your kid? Because if they are within the same, I would say 2 years.
And do you live near me?
You're good. Yeah. Exactly. And if you live near me, well, then we know there are play dates in our future.
Yeah, especially if we like each other.
Right.
And that's like a lifelong friend.
Yeah.
And like, if you can, my kid's in kindergarten now, my oldest. And so like, when you show up to kindergarten, like, if you know another mom who's like, it's just nice. Like you meet maybe when you go like a karate class or soccer class, like, are you connecting with the moms? Like, it's hard,
Well, the being on your phone thing, I mean, being on our phones has become such a social defense mechanism against our fear, our anxiety, our awkwardness, loneliness, whatever you want to call it. I mean, and it's amazing I don't even know what we did before phones, but like if I'm sitting waiting, even in the grocery store line, I'll break out my phone.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And where do you go?
Yep.
Instagram, Facebook.
Take your head out of your apps. Aimee, where can people find out about Moms on Maternity and all of the information they need to attend an event?
So momsonmaternity.com, Moms on Maternity on Instagram, Facebook. We are getting on TikTok. And
are we too old for TikTok?
Well, there will be moms one day.
Oh my gosh.
I hear that it is a much younger audience.
When TikTok is no longer cool, a la Facebook, we will be the ones on TikTok. See, now we feel old. Aimee,
maybe not the best use for Moms on Maternity then, yeah.
but you're right. They will soon be mom. You are getting the demographic before they age into what your product is for. Know your target audience.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. Thank you so much for everything you do. For you are the quintessential type of mom that that would be honored to, the type of person that comes out to Moms on Maternity event is a lot like you, like super, like has a baby, a 1-year-old, is like running businesses and making it look easy. So, and it's not, but
it's not.
It's inspiring what you're doing, and we appreciate it. We all of us, speaking on behalf of all moms, we appreciate it. Any mom that can do what you're doing is an inspiration.
Well, thank you. I'm glad it looks that way. If you peel back the layers, you'll see it's a lot of dry shampoo and tape. Aimee, thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to tune in for the next episode of Do Tell Mama here on Dash Radio. I'm Julie Alexandria. We'll see you next time.